The sky turned strange that Tuesday morning. Captain Han stood on the roof of the United Earth Command building, watching the clouds part as 5 massive ships entered Earth's atmosphere. They were smooth and silver, shaped like teardrops, and made no sound as they moved. "They're here," he said into his comm device. His heart beat faster, but his voice stayed calm. This was why he had trained for 20 years. The aliens had sent their message 3 weeks ago. They called themselves the Ardaki and said they came in peace. But Han knew that in the long history of Earth, visitors rarely came without wanting something. Across the world, people looked up at the strange ships with fear and hope. Some ran to hide. Others gathered in crowds, holding signs that said "Welcome" in many languages. The world's leaders had agreed that Captain Han would speak for all humans. He was known for being smart, fair, and brave. "Captain, your transport is ready," said Major Suk, walking up beside him. Her uniform was perfect, but her eyes showed worry. "How do I look, Suk?" Han asked, straightening his blue formal jacket. "Like someone I would trust to meet aliens," she answered with a small smile. The meeting point was a flat, empty field outside of Seoul. 3 of Han's best people stood with him. Dr. Tai, who studied alien life, Major Suk, who knew military strategy, and Da, a young diplomat who spoke 7 Earth languages and learned new ones quickly. When the smallest Ardaki ship landed, no door opened for 5 full minutes. Han waited patiently. First contacts needed patience. Finally, a section of the ship's side became clear, then disappeared completely. 3 tall figures walked out. "They look like cats," whispered Da, eyes wide. He was right. The Ardaki stood on 2 legs, but they had fur that shone like metal in the sun. Their faces had cat-like features with large golden eyes that seemed to see everything. They moved with perfect grace. The tallest Ardaki stepped forward. "I am Admiral Karo. I speak for the Ardaki Collective." His voice was deep and smooth, with no accent. "I am Captain Han. I speak for Earth." Han bowed slightly. "We welcome you to our world." Admiral Karo looked at the humans with curious eyes. "You are as the data suggested. Unmodified beings, products of natural selection alone." He said these words like someone might say, still using candles instead of lights. Dr. Ta stepped forward. "We have modified some of our plants and animals through careful breeding and some genetic work, but humans remain as evolution made us." The Ardaki looked at each other, making small sounds that might have been laughter. "Interesting," said Admiral Karo. "The Ardaki left such primitive development behind 5,000 years ago. Every Ardaki is carefully designed for perfection before birth." Han noticed how the 3 aliens looked almost the same, with only small differences in height and fur color. They all moved the same way, too. "We have much to learn from each other," Han said carefully. "Indeed." Admiral Karo handed Han a small silver device. "This contains our proposal for cultural exchange. We wish to understand how a species that still relies on random genetic chance has managed to build a technological civilization." Major Suk frowned slightly, but Han kept his face neutral. "And we are eager to learn about your society," Han replied. "Will you join us for a meal? On Earth, sharing food is a sign of friendship." The Ardaki seemed confused by this invitation. After whispering together, Admiral Karo said, "We will observe your eating ritual, though our nutritional needs were satisfied this morning." As they walked toward the waiting vehicles, Dai moved close to Han and whispered, "They think we're primitive." "Good," Han whispered back. "People who think you're weak don't see you as a threat, and they don't guard their secrets well." Han looked back at the Ardaki ships hovering in the sky. Beautiful, perfect, and strange, like their owners. But something about their perfect movements and identical faces made his skin feel cold. This wasn't just a friendly visit. Han was sure of it. But what did these perfect beings want from imperfect humans? He would find out, and he would be ready. 6 months after the Ardaki ships first appeared in Earth's sky, Dr. Ta looked out the window of the small space shuttle. The Ardaki home planet grew larger as they approached. It was beautiful, with perfect blue oceans and land that seemed to follow patterns. "It looks like they designed their continents," she said to Major Sook, who sat beside her checking her equipment for the 5th time. "They probably did," Sook replied. "These people don't leave anything to nature." The human team, Dr. Tai, Major Sook, Captain Han, and young diplomat Da, had been chosen to visit the Ardeki world as part of the exchange program. They were both excited and nervous. "Remember," Captain Han said quietly, "our job is to learn everything we can about them. Be friendly, but stay alert." The Ardaki ship landed smoothly on a platform that seemed to float above a city of tall, identical buildings. Everything was clean, perfect, and looked the same. Admiral Karo waited for them with 5 other Ardaki. All wore the same silver suits, and all had the same perfect posture. "Welcome to Ardak Prime," Admiral Karo said. "You are the first non-engineered species to visit our world in 300 years. "We are honored," Captain Han said with a small bow. Their first day was filled with tours of the city. The Ardaki were proud to show how they had perfected everything. Their buildings never needed repairs. Their plants grew exactly as designed. Even the weather seemed to follow a schedule. "Where are your children?" Dai asked, noticing that all Ardeki looked about the same age. "Children are grown in our life labs," explained an Ardaki scientist named Lumi. She led them to a large white building. Inside, rows of clear containers held small Ardaki at different stages of growth. "Each one is designed for specific skills and purposes," Lumi said proudly. "No genetic mistakes, no random traits, pure perfection." Dr. Todd watched Dr. Lumi's face carefully. The Ardeki showed very little emotion, but Tai could see pride in her eyes. "How do you decide who becomes what?" Tai asked. "The council plans population needs 50 years ahead," Lumi answered. "We grow exactly what our society requires." That night, the humans stayed in guest rooms that were comfortable but had no personal touches. Everything was white, clean, and identical. "Did you notice there's no art that isn't perfectly symmetrical?" Dai said as they ate dinner together. "And their music has no feeling. It's just mathematically perfect notes." Major Sook nodded. "And they have no old buildings. Nothing with history or wear." On the 3rd day, they visited the Ardaki Council. 12 identical Ardaki sat in a perfect circle. Captain Han presented Earth's gifts: music, art, and stories. The council members watched Earth's videos showing human cities, forests, sports, and families. "Your world is chaotic," said Councillor Navi. "You allow random chance to control too much." "We call it freedom," Captain Han replied calmly. "Humans value the right to choose their own path, even if that path is inefficient," asked another council member. "Sometimes the longest path teaches us the most," Da said with a smile. That evening, Dr. Ta found a quiet moment to speak with Dr. Lumi. "I've noticed something strange," Ta said. "You have amazing technology, but where are your inventions? Who creates new things for your society?" Dr. Lumi looked confused. "We perfect what exists. Creation is inefficient. It requires mistakes and waste." As they walked back to their rooms, Captain Han whispered to his team, "Did you notice? They don't ask why questions, only how questions. And they don't talk about their history," added Major Sook. "When I asked about their past struggles, they changed the subject." "They're hiding something," Dai said. Captain Han nodded slowly. "A society that designs everything, controls everything. I wonder what happens to Ardaki who don't fit their perfect plan." Later that night, Dr. Ta couldn't sleep. She looked out at the perfect city with its perfect lights and perfect people. Something was missing here, something human. The next morning, the Ardaki Council had a surprise. They wanted to test humans against Ardaki in a series of challenges, to see which species was truly superior. "We accept your challenge," Dai said quickly, standing before the Ardaki Council. Captain Han gave Dai a sharp look. They had not discussed this as a team. "Excellent," said Counselor Navi. "The tests will show which way is better, your natural evolution or our design perfection." As they left the council room, Major Suk pulled Dai aside. "Why did you agree so fast? We should have talked first." "Did you see their faces?" Dai replied. "They think we will fail. They already see us as less than them. If we said no, they would think humans are afraid." Captain Han joined them. "Dai is right. We need to show our strength, but these tests won't be fair." The first challenge began the next morning in a large white room. 4 Ardaki and the 4 humans stood at flat screens on opposite walls. "This is a test of mental processing," Admiral Kuro explained. "You must solve these math and pattern problems as quickly as possible." The screens lit up with complex problems. The Ardaki moved with perfect focus, their fingers flying across the screens. Their faces showed no doubt or worry. Dr. Todd worked steadily but knew she was slower. Major Suk frowned at her screen. Captain Han stayed calm. Only Dai seemed to be keeping pace. When time ran out, the Ardaki had scored much higher. "As expected," Admiral Kuro said. "Ardaki brains are designed for efficient problem-solving." "The day is young," Captain Han replied with a small smile. The second test was physical. They had to run through an obstacle course that changed as they moved. Again, the Ardaki were faster and stronger. They jumped higher and never seemed to get tired. The humans finished the course, but they were breathing hard and covered in sweat. "You see," said Counselor Navi to the human team, "your bodies are inefficient. Your hearts work too hard. Your muscles burn energy too quickly." "But we finished," said Major Suk, still catching her breath. "Not bad for undesigned humans." The third test was about resource management. Each team had to build a small living space using limited materials. The Ardaki built a perfect small home, with every piece used exactly right. The human's home was less perfect, but had a window seat that hadn't been in the plans. "Why did you add this useless feature?" asked Admiral Kuro, pointing to the window seat. "Because sitting by windows makes humans happy," said Da. "And happy people work better." The Ardaki looked confused. On the 4th day, they faced a test of adaptation. Each team was given broken equipment and had to make it work again. The Ardaki followed standard repair procedures perfectly, but halfway through the test, the lights went out and the tools stopped working. In the dark, the Ardaki froze. Their perfect plan was broken. "Keep going," Major Suk told her team. She pulled out a small light from her pocket. Dai used his belt as a tool. Captain Han found a new way to connect wires with food from their lunch. When the lights came back on, the humans had fixed their equipment. The Ardaki were still waiting for the proper tools. "How did you continue without the correct tools?" asked a young Ardaki named Miro. "Humans are good at making do with what we have," Dr. Todd explained. "Our history is full of problems we had to solve with whatever was available." That night, the Ardaki leaders looked worried as they talked among themselves. The humans weren't winning the challenges, but they weren't failing either. They kept finding unexpected ways to solve problems. "Tomorrow is the final challenge," Captain Han told his team. "I think they're planning something big." "I heard some Ardaki talking," Dai said quietly. "They called it the crisis test. It's meant to show how we handle fear and the unknown." "That's one area where humans have plenty of experience," Major Suk said with a grim smile. None of them slept well that night. In the perfect quiet of the Ardaki city, each human felt something was wrong. The real test was still coming. Dr. Ta couldn't sleep. The perfect silence of the Ardaki city bothered her. No birds sang. No wind blew. Nothing was out of place. Just 1 hour, she whispered to herself as she slipped out of her room. The hallways were empty. Everyone was sleeping according to the perfect Ardaki schedule. Ta had noticed that no one guarded the science building at night. Why would they? Ardeki never broke rules. She walked quickly, her soft shoes making no sound on the smooth floor. Inside the science building, she found a computer terminal. The Ardeki language was difficult, but she had been studying it. She pressed buttons carefully, looking for information. "What are you hiding?" she whispered as images flashed across the screen. Then she saw it. Files about other alien species. She opened one. "The Voltar," she read. "Status. Uplifted." There were pictures of frog-like aliens who had been changed by Ardeki science. Their bodies had been improved with Ardeki genetics. She opened another file. "The NEMS. Status. Failed uplift. Species terminated." Tay's hand covered her mouth. "Terminated. Did that mean?" "You shouldn't be here," said a voice behind her. Tay jumped. Young Ardeki scientist Mero stood in the doorway. "I'm sorry," Ta said quickly. "I was curious about Ardeki science." Mero came closer. "You were looking at the uplift files. Now you know what happens to species that don't meet Ardeki standards." Tai expected him to call guards. Instead, he sat down. "The Council believes all life should be perfect like us," Mero said quietly. "When we find a new species, we test them. If they have good qualities, we change them to be more like Ardeki. If they resist or have nothing useful, they are removed." "That's horrible," Ta whispered. Mero looked at her strangely. Isn't it better to be perfect? To never be sick or sad or confused?" "But you have no freedom," Ta said. "No choices." "What good are choices if they lead to suffering?" Mero asked. Before Tai could answer, they heard footsteps. "Hide," Mero said, pushing Ta behind a large machine. Admiral Caro and Counselor Navi entered the room. "The humans are unpredictable," Admiral Caro was saying. "They fail our tests, yet they keep finding solutions we didn't expect." "That makes them dangerous," said Counselor Navi. "If they reject our offer of uplift, we must follow protocol." "Some council members believe humans might be useful," Admiral Caro replied. "Their adaptability could be added to our genetics. And if they resist, then we know what must be done." They left and Tai felt cold all over. Mero helped her out from her hiding place. "You have to warn your friends," he said. "Tomorrow's test is not what it seems. The Council wants to see if humans can be controlled. If you fail, they'll destroy us all," Tai finished. "Or change you forever." Mero nodded. "But why do you look afraid? Don't you want to be perfect like us?" Tai studied Mero's face. "Are you really perfect, Mero? Are you happy? Do you ever wonder what it would be like to choose your own path?" Mero looked away. "Sometimes. I wonder. I was designed to be a scientist, but I'm curious about music, about art, about things that have no purpose." "Those things have great purpose," Ta said gently. "They make life worth living." "I must go," Mero said suddenly. "The final test tomorrow is designed to push humans to your limits. The Council wants to see how you handle fear and impossible choices." "Thank you for warning me," Ta said. As she sneaked back to her room, Tai's mind raced. The Ardeki didn't want friends or allies. They wanted to control every species they met, to make them perfect like themselves, or destroy them. She had to tell Captain Han before the final test began. Earth needed to know what they were really facing. And she couldn't help wondering about Mero. Was he the only Ardeki who questioned their perfect society? Or were there others, hiding their doubts behind perfect faces? The morning of the final test, Dr. Ta pulled her team into a corner of their room. "We're in danger," she whispered, telling them what she had discovered. "This isn't about friendly competition. It's about deciding if we should be changed or destroyed." Captain Han's face grew hard. "I suspected something like this. Have you sent a message to Earth?" "I tried," Major Sook said. "But all our communications are blocked. We need to find a way to warn them." "First, we need to survive this test," Daz said. "What should we do?" We play their game, Captain Han decided, but we play it our way. The final test took place in a huge dome. Inside was a mock city with tall buildings. The human team and an Ardaki team stood on opposite sides. "This is the crisis test," Admiral Caro announced. "A disaster will strike this city. You must save as many city residents as possible. Your actions will be scored on efficiency and success." Robot people moved around the city, acting like real citizens. Suddenly, the ground began to shake. Buildings cracked. Fires started. The robot people screamed for help. The Ardeki team moved in perfect order. Each member had a job. They rescued people with cold, perfect skill. They never got upset, never showed fear. The human team also rushed to help. But unlike the Ardaki, they changed their plans as they went. When Dai found a blocked path, he climbed up a wall instead of going back. When Major Sook saw people trapped by fire, she used water from a broken pipe to clear a path. Dr. Ta watched the Ardaki team carefully. They followed their plan exactly, even when things changed. When a building collapsed in a way they hadn't expected, they froze for a moment before adjusting. Halfway through the test, everything changed. The lights flickered. The ground shook harder. Buildings that were safe suddenly collapsed. "This wasn't in the simulation," one Ardaki team member said, stopping in confusion. But the human team kept moving. This was what humans were good at, dealing with the unexpected. "The rules change," Captain Han called to his team. "Just like real life." As the test got harder, the Ardaki team began to make mistakes. They argued about what to do. Their perfect plan was failing. The human team worked together, calling out new ideas and helping each other. They saved more robot people than the Ardaki did. When the test ended, Admiral Caro looked angry. The council members watching the test whispered to each other. "You changed the test halfway through," Captain Han said. "That wasn't fair." "Life isn't fair," Admiral Caro replied coldly. "We wanted to see how you handle true chaos." "And we showed you," said Major Sook. "Humans thrive in chaos." "That's what makes you dangerous," Counselor Navy said, stepping forward. "Your unpredictability, your emotions, your disorder." "We've made our decision," Admiral Caro announced. "Humanity has potential, but you are too chaotic, too unpredictable. You will be given a choice." The air in the room felt heavy. "Accept Ardeki guidance and genetic improvement, or face removal from the galactic community." "You mean extinction," Captain Han said flatly. "We prefer to call it evolutionary correction," Counselor Navy replied. Day stepped forward, anger on his face. "You have no right." "We have every right." Admiral Caro cut him off. "We have brought order to 100 worlds, ended suffering, created perfection, and destroyed anyone who didn't fit your perfect vision," Dr. Ta said. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. "You need time to understand the honor we offer you. You will remain here while your planet considers our proposal." Guards appeared and surrounded the human team. "This isn't a cultural exchange," Captain Han said. "It's an ultimatum." "It's evolution," Admiral Caro replied. "The strong survive. The weak adapt or perish." As the guards led them away, Dr. Ta caught sight of Miro watching from a doorway. His perfect face showed something new for an Ardaki. Doubt. Back on Earth, Captain Jin received the Ardaki message. His face grew dark as he watched Admiral Caro explain that humans had two choices: accept Ardaki genetic improvements or be removed from existence. "They've taken our team prisoner," Jin told the world leaders who had gathered for the emergency meeting, "and they expect an answer in 7 days." "Can we fight them?" asked one leader. "Our weapons are nothing compared to theirs," Jin finished. "We've studied their ships. Their technology is 100 years ahead of ours." "Then we must accept their offer," said another leader. "Better to be changed than destroyed." Jin looked around the room. Fear showed on many faces, but he had a different plan. "The Ardaki think they are perfect," Jin said. But that's their weakness. They don't understand what makes humans special. Far away on the Ardaki homeworld, the human team sat in their locked rooms. They were not treated badly, but they could not leave or contact Earth. "We need to escape," Major Sook said. "Find their communication center and warn Earth." "But how?" Dai asked. "The doors are locked. Guards are everywhere." Dr. Ta smiled. "Maybe we have a friend." She told them about Miro, the young Ardaki scientist who had helped her. That night, as expected, Miro came to visit them. "I shouldn't be here," he said nervously, "but I wanted to understand. Why do humans resist perfection?" "Because the cost is too high," Captain Han said. "We would lose our freedom, our creativity, our differences. Those things make us human." "But you suffer," Miro said. "You get sick. You die young. You make mistakes." "Yes," Dr. Tai agreed. "And we learn from those mistakes. We grow from our struggles." Miro looked confused. "The council says your way of life is inefficient, wasteful." "Come with me," Captain Han said suddenly. "There's something I want to show you." Although nervous, Miro disabled the lock on their door. Captain Han led him to their ship, which was being kept in a nearby hangar. Inside, Han showed Miro pictures and videos of Earth. Children playing, artists creating, scientists working together, people helping each other after disasters. "This is humanity," Han said softly. "Imperfect, but always trying to be better." Miro watched, his eyes wide. "We have nothing like this," he whispered. "Our children don't play. They learn their assigned skills. Our art is all the same." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Jin's plan was in motion. Earth didn't respond to the Ardaki threat with weapons. Instead, they began broadcasting. Music from every culture, art from every period of history, stories of human struggle and triumph. They sent the Ardaki everything that made humans unique, their history, their emotions, their endless creativity. "What are they doing?" Admiral Kuro asked, watching the flood of human culture reaching their world. This isn't a military response. Some Ardaki began watching the broadcast with interest. Young ones especially were drawn to human music and art. "Our perfect society is being polluted," Counselor Navi warned. "We must block these transmissions." But it was too late. The broadcasts were everywhere, and young Ardaki were asking questions they had never asked before. In the locked rooms, Major Sook had almost finished building a small device from parts she had hidden in her clothes. "If this works," she told the others, "we can send a message to Earth. Tell them what we've learned about the Ardaki." "And what's that?" Dai asked. "That for all their genetic perfection," Dr. Ta said, "they've lost something important. They've lost their fire, the drive to create, to change, to become more than they are. And that's why they fear us," Captain Han added, "because we still have our fire." Outside their rooms, they could hear unusual sounds, voices raised in argument. Something was happening in the perfect Ardaki society. Something new. Day sat in the corner of their room, listening to the strange sounds outside. The perfect Ardaki city was no longer quiet. Voices rose in argument. Footsteps ran down hallways. Something big was happening. "Major Sook's device is ready," Captain Han whispered. "We can send one short message to Earth." "But what should we say?" Dr. Tai asked. "Jin needs to know about the Ardaki weakness." Before they could decide, the door opened. Miro rushed in, looking scared. "You need to come quickly," he said. "The council is fighting. Some want to attack Earth now. Others want to wait. Take us to them," Captain Han said. Miro led them through back hallways. They passed groups of young Ardaki watching Earth's broadcasts on screens. Some were trying to dance like humans. Others were drawing pictures that weren't perfect. "Your broadcasts are changing things," Miro explained. "Young Ardaki are asking questions. Why can't we create art? Why can't we choose our own work? Why must everything be perfect?" The council chamber was loud with angry voices when they arrived. Admiral Kuro was shouting, "We must stop this human infection," he yelled. "Their chaos is spreading. We should destroy them now." "But their adaptability could improve our genetics," argued another council member. "We should study them more." Councillor Navy saw the humans enter. "You," he pointed, "see what you've done. Our perfect society is falling into disorder because of you." Day stepped forward. He had been the quiet one, the young diplomat learning from others. But now he felt words rising in his chest like fire. "Your perfect society was already dying," Day said clearly. His voice wasn't loud, but everyone stopped to listen. "What do you mean, human?" Admiral Kuro asked coldly. "A perfect thing cannot grow," Day explained. "It cannot change. It cannot improve. It can only stay the same or become worse." He walked to the center of the room where all could see him. "On Earth, we have an animal called a lion," Day continued. "Long ago, lions ran wild. They hunted. They fought. They remembered the ways of their ancestors through instinct." The room was completely quiet now. "Some lions now live in zoos. They're safe. They're fed. They never face danger. But they've lost something important: their memory of the wild. Their fire." Day looked at each council member. "Your lions were cloned in labs," he said, "perfect from birth. But our lions remembered the fire that drove them to survive, to adapt, to become stronger." Dr. Ta stepped forward. "Your genetics are perfect, but too perfect. You all think the same way. You have the same strengths and the same weaknesses. That's why your team failed when the test changed." Major Sook added, "You couldn't adapt." "Humans aren't perfect," Captain Han said. "But our strength comes from our differences, from overcoming our weaknesses, not erasing them." A young female Ardaki stood up from the back of the room. "He's right," she said. "I was designed to be a builder, but I want to make music. Why can't I choose?" Others joined her. More voices, more questions. The perfect order of the council was breaking down. Admiral Kuro slammed his hand down. "Enough. This proves humans are dangerous. They bring chaos wherever they go. We will proceed with the attack on Earth." "No," said a new voice. An older Ardaki that Da hadn't seen before walked slowly to the center. "I am Elder Tero, creator of our genetic program." Everyone became quiet again. "For 1,000 years, I've watched our people become more perfect," Elder Tero said, "and more fragile, more alike, less able to face new challenges." He turned to look at the humans. "Perhaps the fire this young human speaks of is what we've been missing. Not chaos, but the spark that drives life to grow and change." Admiral Kuro's face showed rare emotion. Anger. "You would throw away our perfection. For what?" "Their disorder. Their suffering." "For our survival," Elder Tero answered simply. "Perfect things cannot evolve. And in this universe, that which does not evolve dies," Dr. Ta finished quietly. Admiral Kuro left the council meeting in anger. He walked straight to the command center and gave new orders to his fleet. "Prepare to attack Earth," he commanded. "We will solve this problem once and for all." But when his orders reached the ships, something strange happened. Many young Ardaki officers did not obey. They had been watching Earth's broadcasts. Some had even been secretly talking to each other about what they saw. "We should not attack without more discussion," said one officer. "These humans have interesting ideas," said another. Admiral Kuro's face turned dark with rage. "You question my orders. This is not the Ardaki way." Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Jin watched his screens with worry. The Ardaki ships were moving, getting into attack positions around Earth. "Prepare our defenses," Jin ordered. "But do not attack first." Earth's leaders had worked with Jin on a plan. They knew they couldn't win a direct fight against the Ardaki's advanced technology. But humans were good at finding creative solutions. Back on the Ardaki homeworld, Mero led the human team through back hallways. "We need to reach the communication center," Captain Han said. "We have to warn Earth that attack is coming." As they ran, they saw more signs of change. Young Ardeki were gathering in groups, talking with energy and even showing emotions. Some had changed their perfect uniforms to look different from others. When they reached the communication center, they found it already filled with young Ardeki. "We're broadcasting new information to the fleet," one young Ardeki told them. His name was Lion, and he worked in science with Miro. "What information?" Dr. Tai asked. "The truth," Miro said. He showed them the screens. The young Ardeki had found secret research files. The files showed dangerous problems in Ardeki genetics. Because all Ardeki were so similar, one new disease could kill them all. Their perfectly engineered immune systems had no variety to fight new threats. "Our perfect design is our greatest weakness," Lion explained. "If we face a new virus or bacteria that targets our genetics, we could all die." Another screen showed military studies proving that Ardeki battle plans were too predictable. Because all officers thought the same way, enemy forces could easily guess what they would do next. "We're sending this to everyone," Miro said. "The fleet, the council, all citizens. They need to know that our perfect society is actually very fragile." In space, the Ardeki ships approached Earth. But inside those ships, confusion was spreading. Officers read the new information. They saw the secret studies. Many began to question their orders. Admiral Caro's voice came through their communication systems. "Ignore these lies. Continue the attack." But then Elder Tiro's voice also came through. "All ships, this is Elder Tiro. The studies are real. I helped create them. Our perfect society faces a serious threat, not from humans, but from our own lack of diversity." On Earth, Captain Jin watched in amazement as the Ardeki fleet stopped moving. "What's happening?" asked one of Earth's leaders. "I think they're arguing with each other," Jin said with a small smile. In the Ardeki council chamber, Elder Tiro stood facing the angry council members. "For too long, we have called ourselves perfect," he said, "but true perfection includes adaptation. It includes growth. It includes change." "This is treason," Councillor Navi shouted. "This is evolution," Elder Tiro replied calmly. On the screens around the chamber, they could see that many Ardeki ships had broken formation. Some were turning away from Earth. Admiral Caro's voice kept ordering them to attack, but fewer and fewer ships were listening. "The old order is ending," Mero said quietly to the human team as they watched. Captain Han nodded. "And what will take its place?" "Something new," Dr. Ta said. "Something that's neither fully human nor fully Ardeki. Something better than perfect," Dai added with a smile. 3 months later, Captain Han stood on the red dirt of Mars, watching workers build the first joint human Ardeki research center. The large dome would house scientists from both worlds working together. "I never thought I'd see this day," he said to Captain Jin, who had arrived from Earth yesterday. "Neither did I," Jin replied. "When those ships appeared in our sky, I thought it was the end. Instead, it was a new beginning." After the revolution, the Ardeki Council had been rebuilt. Admiral Caro and those who wanted war were removed from power. Elder Tiro now led the council, with both old and young members working together. The agreement between Earth and Ardak was simple. Ardeki would share some helpful genetic science with humans, but only if humans freely chose to use it. In return, humans would help the Ardeki bring back some genetic variety to their population. "How is Dr. Lumi's project going?" Jin asked. "Very well," Dr. Tai answered, walking up to join them. "She's designed a way to add small, safe variations to Ardeki genetics. Not enough to cause problems, but enough to help them adapt to new challenges. And they're allowing it." Jin looked surprised. "The younger ones are eager for change," Tai explained. "The older ones are more careful, but even they see that it's needed." Major Suk approached with Mero and another young Ardeki. The security systems are in place, she reported. Mero had some good ideas to improve them. Mero nodded, and Major Sook showed me 3 ways to override them in an emergency. He smiled, something Ardeki rarely did before. Humans always think about what might go wrong. Because something always does, Sook replied with a laugh. Inside the main building, Dai was teaching a group of Ardeki about human art and music. Some were trying to paint pictures that weren't perfect. Others were learning to sing songs with feeling, not just perfect notes. It's messy, Dai told them. But that's good. Art isn't about being perfect. It's about expressing something true. One young Ardeki held up her painting. The colors went outside the lines. The shapes weren't exact, but it showed the red mountains of Mars with feeling. I made a mistake here, she said, pointing to a crooked line. But I think I like it. It makes the mountain look more alive. Day smiled. That's not a mistake. That's your own style. That evening, the humans and Ardeki gathered for a meal together. This was new for the Ardeki, who usually took nutrition alone at set times, but they were learning to enjoy the social part of eating. Elder Tero stood to speak. 1 year ago, I believed the Ardeki had reached perfection. I was wrong. Perfect things cannot grow, cannot improve, cannot face new challenges. He looked around at the mixed group. From humans, we are learning about adaptation, creativity, and the strength that comes from being different from each other. From us, humans are learning about the benefits of careful genetic improvements and advanced technology. Captain Han raised his glass. To new friends and new futures. Everyone drank to that. Later, Dr. Ta and Mero walked outside to watch the sunset on Mars. They saw a group of Ardeki and human children playing together. The Ardeki children moved with less perfect grace than their parents. They laughed louder. They showed emotions. They tried new things without fear of failure. They're changing so quickly, Mero said, watching the children. They aren't perfect like we were designed to be. No, Tai agreed. There's something better. They're alive. They're adapting. They're evolving. They're remembering the fire, Dai said, joining them. The spark that pushes all life to become more than it was before. In the reddish light of the Mars sunset, humans and Ardeki stood together, watching their children play. Different species with different histories, but now sharing one future. The Ardeki lions had been cloned in labs, but now they too were remembering the fire, the end